Welcome to Things Science Can't Explain. It's incredibly easy to look around our modern world right now, with its GPS, self-driving cars, and genetic sequencing, and just assume we've got the universe pretty much figured out. But honestly, despite all of our massive technological advancements, there are some everyday things and some truly bizarre phenomena that completely baffle the absolute greatest scientific minds on Earth.
Seriously, what do your fingers, a pigeon, and a glowing ball of light have in common? Well, they all hold secrets that totally defy our current scientific understanding. Today, we're stripping away the complex jargon and looking straight at the raw data of the unknown. We're going to explore biological mysteries, medical anomalies, and extreme earthly phenomena that simply don't have an answer yet.
Section 1. Mysteries within our bodies. The enigmas at your fingertips. Okay, let's dive into this by starting with something incredibly intimate and familiar. Something you're probably looking at literally right now, your own hands.
Now, to maintain absolute data integrity here, we have to separate what we know for a fact from what we're just guessing at. We actually have the physical origin of fingerprints completely figured out. When you were just a fetus in the womb, the pressure of amniotic fluid, combined with the specific growth rate of your fingers, literally carved those completely unique designs right into your skin. Not even identical twins have the same prints. But then, we have the purpose. Why did the human body spend hundreds of thousands of years developing these? Well, we've got two running theories. One is the grip theory, suggesting the grooves act kind of like treads on a tire to help us hold things. The other is the tactile theory, which argues the ridges enhance our ability to sense vibrations and textures. Both make logical sense, right? And both have some supporting evidence, but neither has concrete definitive proof. The true biological purpose of your fingerprint remains a total mystery.
So from the outside of our bodies, let's look at the inside. Here is the structure of the absolute gold standard in medical testing, the double-blind placebo study. If you want to prove a stomach medication works, you give one group the active drug and the other group a placebo, just a sugar pill that does absolutely nothing. The active medication obviously has to surpass the benchmark set by the placebo. But here's the massive, undeniable mystery. A huge percentage of people taking the fake sugar pill will genuinely, physically heal, simply because they believe they're taking real medicine.
This brings us to the anticipation theory. The going psychological and neurological speculation is that the brain releases endorphins and other chemicals simply in anticipation of a positive effect. Because your body expects to feel better, it actually makes itself feel better in advance. But I really want to be clear here. This is just speculation. Despite decades of massive medical studies, the exact mechanisms behind how a fake pill triggers genuine physical healing remain a complete life-saving mystery. Section 2. The Alzheimer's Enigma. Biomarkers versus root causes. Let's transition to a much more complex and deeply serious medical mystery. We need to look closely at Alzheimer's disease and carefully distinguish it from normal cognitive aging.
You see, some cognitive decline is totally normal as we get older, but the rapid, detrimental decline of Alzheimer's is absolutely not. Now science has identified two primary biomarkers tightly tied to the disease. First, amyloid beta plaques. For reasons we just don't fully grasp, these proteins aren't absorbed properly by the body. So they clump together, they become toxic, and they cause massive cell death. Second is the tau protein, which similarly fails to absorb, becoming tangled and creating even more toxic clumps. These two factors physically create the massive damage seen in an Alzheimer's patient's brain. So the crucial point is this. We have these confirmed biomarkers. We absolutely know that plaques and tangled tau cause damage. But recently, medications specifically designed to destroy these amyloid plaques in the brain have not yielded a cure or positive results. This has forced scientists to take a huge step back and ask, are these toxic clumps actually the root cause of Alzheimer's, or are they just a byproduct of a deeper, completely unknown biological trigger involving age, genetics, or environment? The truth is, we still don't know the actual spark that starts the fire.
Section 3. Nature's baffling navigators and the how of animal migration. Let's shift our scale outward to the animal kingdom for a second. We completely understand why animals migrate, to feed, to breed, or to escape harsh winters. But the how? That is practically an unexplained biological superpower.
Imagine a lab scenario for a second where scientists sit a pigeon down and ask, "Do you feel anything?" And the pigeon just confidently replies, "North."
Okay, it sounds like a joke, but recent studies have definitively proven that some species of birds, specifically pigeons, possess magnetoreception. They can quite literally sense the Earth's magnetic field. But knowing they have the hardware doesn't explain at all how they use the software to navigate so flawlessly over thousands of miles. Think of it like this. It's the drunken uncle teleportation effect. It's kind of like that broke uncle who lives up north all year, but the second it gets chilly, he magically teleports to Florida, and nobody has any idea how he got there or what route he even took. In an age where we humans still get lost using GPS and self-driving cars, a butterfly can travel 2,000 miles to a specific tree without a map. It's just an astonishing gap in our biological understanding.
Section 4. Deep Earth and Sky Anomalies, Exploring the Extremes. Let's move to and see how this builds as we transition from biological mysteries to the extreme, bizarre environments of our own planet, starting deep underwater. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. No, not the sci-fi show, but the immense aquatic regions sitting 200 to 1,000 meters below the ocean's surface. Sunlight barely penetrates here, meaning absolutely zero photosynthesis can occur. It's immensely pressurized, it's incredibly dark, and it requires highly specialized, insanely expensive equipment just to survive in. And because there is very little financial incentive to go down there, it remains one of the least explored habitats on Earth. Because it's so incredibly vast and deeply unexplored, there's a fascinating and honestly almost terrifying speculation among marine biologists. There might be more fish in the Twilight Zone alone than all other fish on the entire planet combined. Seriously. And these aren't your normal fish. They're bizarre, alien-looking creatures that often create their own bioluminescent light. Beyond just being weird, this massive ecosystem plays a critically mysterious role in global carbon storage, directly impacting our climate in ways we are literally only just beginning to guess at. Moving from the deep ocean all the way up to the stormy skies, we encounter one of the most terrifying atmospheric anomalies out there, ball lightning. Witnesses describe it as a glowing, floating sphere of light that pops up during thunderstorms. Sightings actually go all the way back to the 1600s. In the 1800s, people reported it smelled like sulfur and literally believed it was the direct work of the devil. I mean, it can be the size of a marble or multiple feet wide. It can float right through walls, vanish silently, or just violently explode. So what is it? Well, look at the theories we've managed to scrape together so far. Maybe it's localized plasma, or burning airborne particles, or some kind of strange electromagnetic fields. The truth? They're all incredibly vague guesses. And why is that? Because ball lightning is so insanely rare and unpredictable that it never just happily rolls into a laboratory for us to study. Because we can't replicate it in a controlled environment, it remains almost entirely immune to the scientific method. Section 5. The Beauty of the Unknown. The Brainless Mastermind. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it transitions us to our final and perhaps most mind-bending mystery of all. It sits right at the intersection of biology, intelligence, and the beautiful unknown. Meet Physarum polycephalum. Despite being commonly called slime mold, it's not slime, and it's certainly not a fungi. It is actually a protist. And even crazier, this yellow, jelly-like goo is a single-celled organism completely packed with multiple nuclei. You can find it just sitting on a log in your local forest right after a rainstorm, and honestly, despite looking a lot like spilled mustard, it is terrifyingly intelligent. Here is exactly how scientists test it. They put this literal ball of goo in a complex physical maze with a piece of food at the end. Step 1, the organism grows to completely fill every single corridor of the maze. Step 2, it locates the food source. Step 3, it flawlessly retracts every single piece of its body from the non-connecting paths, leaving only the most efficient, direct route from the start to the finish. It literally reverse engineers the maze. In one famous study, scientists placed food in a layout mirroring Japanese cities, and the slime mold successfully recreated an exact, highly efficient map of the entire Tokyo subway system. No way, right? As the original presenter humorously noted, this little ball of goo might even be smarter than you. And honestly, it's kind of hard to argue. Studies prove that this organism can anticipate recurring events and adjust its behavior based on past experiences. That means it is actively demonstrating memory and anticipation. But here is the major catch. It has absolutely zero neurons. No brain, no nervous system,
No complex organs whatsoever. So how on earth is it making spatial decisions and remembering the past? Well, the current running theory is that chemical signals pulsing through the goo act exactly like a neural network, allowing it to process information. This concept of a brain without a brain is so wildly efficient that, right now, it is actively inspiring engineers in modern robotics and self-organizing computing systems.
Which brings us to our final thought. Just look at the sheer variety of what we've covered today in this explainer. From the fingerprints on the hand you're holding your phone with, to the deepest, darkest trenches of the ocean, to a brainless protist mapping out complex subway systems. The scientific method is absolutely the greatest tool humanity has ever created, but the universe is vast, and its mysteries run deep. If a brainless ball of goo can solve a maze, what else are we missing? What other invisible forces, undiscovered biology, and spectacular anomalies are happening right under our noses? Keep observing, keep questioning, and never lose your sense of wonder for the unknown.